Hey, if you're watching this, you likely have bananas that look just like this one in your kitchen. So why not take about 4 of them and smash them up in a bowl? And if you don't have 4 of them, don't worry, this recipe is pretty easy to cut in half. Now, banana bread around here is typically near cake-like in sweetness. This recipe is not. If you want it sweeter than what it is, you can always add sugar, of course. But I replaced all of what a recipe called for sugar with peanut butter. Also, let's add in a half a cup of melted butter, and I am using about 1 cup of peanut butter in place of the sugar here. And it is going to be really tricky for you to cut 1/2 of an egg in if you are halving this recipe, but I am an internet chef and I say that you can just use the whole egg. Now, what I'm about to say may be a little bit controversial in the baking world, but you need to have a little bit of a feel of what this needs to look like. So, depending on how moist everything that you put in here is, especially when you're dealing with fruit, the amount of flour is going to vary some. This recipe actually called for 3 cups of self-rising flour. I stopped a half a cup early and started mixing, and that happened to be plenty. Like, had I put another cup in there, it would have been way too dry, and I would have had to add liquid to get this to the consistency it needs to be. So, kind of pay attention when you're putting stuff together like that. Once everything is combined, I like to move everything to a greased 8x8 baking sheet. And if you have cut this recipe in half, you can feel free to use just a regular bread pan. And this is going to spread out pretty evenly. I actually like to push the center of it down slightly more than the edges so that when it bakes, it's relatively even at the top. Speaking of baking, this is going to go into a 350-degree oven for about 40 minutes. When you can insert a toothpick into the center of it and it comes out clean, it's done. You may want to check a little early. Obviously, that's just common sense. Your oven could be hotter than mine. Now, once this comes out of the oven, this is kind of a do as I say, not as I do thing, but let it cool off before you try to remove it from the pan. I just take a butter knife around the edge, and then I put a towel over the top, and then flip it upside down, and then put that on a plate so that it's pretty side up when it's sitting on the plate, if that makes sense. But as I said, this was incredibly too hot for me to be attempting to do this. Regardless, you can cut yourself a slice and grab an ice cold glass of milk or a cup of coffee, whichever you prefer, and have yourself some peanut butter banana bread. Thanks for watching, guys. Hope y'all enjoyed. And if you make this recipe, make sure that you stay tuned because I have a YouTube short coming out where I use this to make another dish. So if you're not already subscribed, go ahead and hit that so you won't miss that. See y'all next time.